I was listening to the story about, it was a story of a family in Washington, and the little boy called the Bigfoot the Cowboy Man. And he had, apparently it had made an effort to steal this kid. And it hit me. My children were in that playpen behind me with nothing but a mosquito net over them. It could have crept up behind me and taken both of my children, and I wouldn't have known.
Father just got like a Mustang or something from Wyoming, okay? He had it out in the corral because he couldn't put it in the barn in the stalls with the other horses. It would kick and made all the other horses nervous. Had a Seminole Indian working the horse, trying to break it every day. So they had it out in the corral. This skunk ape snuck up behind this horse and grabbed it on its hind quarters. This particular horse kicks out, jumps over the corral, runs into the pasture, to get away. At this point, the rancher's out there just blasted away with the dirty. Skunk ape runs into the swamp.
I went up there one day after that, or 2 days after that. I went up there and sat in the silence up there, and I'm telling you, man, it was free. It was crazy. There was a crazy vibe up there still. I did what I could to kind of get things under control, but I told her, I said, you need to get off this property. I feel like no matter how strong you are, it's almost like standing in the ocean. You can't stand still without moving your feet. You're going to get knocked over eventually, no matter how strong, whatever. You can't withstand a barrage of weird spiritual energy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Paranormal Odyssey Short Story Time. Got another one I want to share with you guys today. Before we do, though, if you would, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, all that fabulous stuff. If you've had an encounter and would like to come on and share it with me, I'd love to talk to you about that. Shoot me an email to wayne@paranormalworldproductions.com. I'd love to hear from you. All right, going to jump right in. Today, going to be talking about Ghosts of St. Augustine Lighthouse. The current St. Augustine Lighthouse in Florida was built between 1871 and 1874 and stands at the north end of the Anastasia Island. The original lighthouse was actually a wooden structure that dates back to 1589. Wow. It was a tower which went dark until the Civil War of 1867 and had since lost the battle with encroaching temperate seas and long periods of erosion. Congress approved the rebuilding of the lighthouse in 1871 amidst myriad reports from the United States Lighthouse Board concerning its condition. They could never have expected such a benefit to public transportation and safety to end in such catastrophe. The ghost of St. Augustine Lighthouse is one of tragic beginnings. The lighthouse reconstruction. Hezekiah Pate, I know I butchered that, and I'm sorry. Hezekiah Pate was superintendent of lighthouse construction at the time and moved with his family to Anastasia Island to oversee the construction of the new and improved lighthouse. He had a wife, Mary, and 4 children, Mary, Adelaide, Eliza, Edward, and Carrie, all who lived on the site with him during the building period. Of course, it didn't take long for the young children to turn the site into their own personal playing field, and the children of many of the workers soon joined in the fun. 2 years into the process, and not even half of the tower had been erected. To streamline things, a railway track and cart were installed to transport supplies from the supply ships docked at Salt Run to the building site. Of course, the children all loved the cart, riding it down the hill like a roller coaster and pulling it back up again several times a day. The only thing that stopped the cart from flipping and careening into the water was a single wooden board slotted into place at the end of the track. Clearly, health and safety standards were less evolved back then. Clearly. It doesn't take an expert on tragedy to foresee what happened next. On the fateful morning of July 10th, 1873, the three young Pretty sisters were riding the cart with the 10-year-old daughter of one of the construction workers. Though for some inexplicable reason the safety board was not in place. The cart descended the hill and tipped into the water, trapping all the girls inside the watery metal box. One of the workers, Dan Sessions, witnessed the incident and ran to the water, where he managed to lift the cart from atop the girls. Sadly, by this time, 3 of the 4 girls had drowned, the only survivor being the youngest of the Pretty sisters, Carrie. Construction on the tower, and indeed the whole town, was shut down in the days following the incident, and after the funeral was held, the family returned to Maine to bury the children in their hometown. The hauntings. In the nearly 150 years since the tragedy occurred, many strange and unusual instances have been blamed on the spirits of the unfortunate young victims. Haunted lighthouses are a common trope, but this is one of the most active haunted lighthouses in the world. Hector Head Lighthouse in Oregon is another notable haunted lighthouse. One of these occurrences comes from lighthouse keeper James Pippin, who lived and worked in the tower from 1953 to 1955. The man reportedly heard footsteps above him late at night, sometime in this 2-year period, though when he went to check it out, no one was there. At first, Pippin lived in the usual keeper's house, but he quickly moved to a smaller coastal lookout building, insisting that the main building was haunted and refusing to spend any more time there. Another haunted story comes from the 1960s, at a time when the lighthouse's lamp was fully automated and lighthouse keepers were replaced with workers known as lamplighters. These people didn't live on site as keepers did, so the buildings were rented out instead. One man who was renting the keeper's house in the 60s tells a story of waking up in the night with a small girl standing over his bed. As he blinked and rubbed his eyes, the spectral apparition vanished as quickly as it had appeared. In the 1970s, the keeper's building burned down mysteriously, and in the process of it being rebuilt, those involved reported the area was a hotbed for ghostly and unexplainable activity. It's said that even today a strange and spooky presence can be felt in the basement of that home, which is also coincidentally one of the only parts of the place that didn't fully burn. These days the tower is reserved for supernatural tourism, and of course there has been no lull in the hair-raising activity the place is known for. It would seem that the spirits of the girls like to play games with unsuspecting people. When one staff member was closing up for the night alone, he heard giggling coming from the top of the tower. Thinking he had left a tourist up there by mistake, he went to check, but of course found no one. Patrons of the Dark of the Moon tours consistently talk of ghostly activity to this day. So why not take a trip and see if you can come into contact with some 19th century spirits? This article, like several of the others that I've read, comes from Puzzle Box Horror. Seems like they do a pretty cool job over there. I've gotten a few articles that I've shared with you guys, so check them out. It seems like a pretty cool thing they're doing. All right, guys, there you have it. Ghosts of St. Augustine Lighthouse. I've always heard St. Augustine is one of the most haunted places in the country, right up there with Savannah, Georgia. I've been to both St. Augustine and Savannah. I've never done any ghost exploring or hunting while down there. It's really strange that I haven't, as long as I've been into this topic. Just never gotten around to it. Jordan and I, we've been to Tybee Island several times, taking the family. One of our favorite places on earth, and we've stayed in Savannah a couple times. So it's a beautiful, beautiful city. St. Augustine is too. So when you're down there in those places, it's easy to see why people say that they're haunted. Just the old architecture and everything is just it's beautiful down there. All right, guys, if you have anything to add to it, anything you want me to cover, want to shoot me a line about anything at all, you can get me at Wayne at paranormalworldproductions.com. I want to invite everyone to check out paranormalworldproductions.com. Get you some merch, show some support for Paranormal Odyssey, Sasquatch Odyssey, True Crime Odyssey. That would certainly help, guys. We would love that. All right, I want to remind everybody about Paranormal Odyssey Live, which will be found every Friday evening right here, 7:30 Eastern. If you have not done so yet, guys, please hit that subscribe button. Share some of this so that we can get some more people watching. I would appreciate that greatly. Remind everybody about the podcast, Paranormal Odyssey, still doing 2 episodes a week. Although, like I said, the previous short story I did, we're considering upping that to 3, maybe even 4 episodes a week. So here soon, you guys could get some extra listening. All right. All of that being said, I think I will get out of here. You guys be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I'll see you next time.